A friend of mine recently was telling me about a surfing course that they took. A group of people came together and they wanted to learn how to surf. And so this instructor took them out to the beach, and they were all standing there in the sand, and the instructor was having them lay down on the sand and then pop up on their boards, teaching them, what it was going to be like once they went out into the water. And then the instructor turned to them and said, if you want to know how to surf, you need to know one thing. You need to know one thing if you want to learn how to surf. And all of them kind of leaned in because, they had paid the money for the course. And so, we want to know how to surf. He said, if you want to know how to surf, you got to know one thing. Where you look is where you go. Where you look is where you go. And he went on to explain to them that once we get off the beach here and we go out into the waves and you jump up on that surfboard for the first time, actually out on the water, that if all of a sudden you start looking down at all the waves and you start worrying about the waves crashing all around you, where you look is where you go, and your body will follow. He said if you get out there and you start looking around, looking for jaws, looking for the sharks that are going to come up out of the water, I can tell you where you look is where you go. But if you want to learn how to surf, then you need to start training yourself right now, that the people that learn how to surf start training their mind right now that where you look is where you go. And the minute that you start learning how to surf is that when you finally pop up on that board, as soon as you look and you train yourself to look right at the shoreline, your body will follow. He said if you want to learn how to surf, eventually you'll train your mind that as soon as you pop up, you look right at the shoreline, and where you look is where you go. The reason I love that image is because we live in a very fast-changing world right now. You talk about we've never lived in a more busy, distracted, cluttered world than we do now. Talk about instantaneous world of communication. We talk about the generational gap. We talk about a global economy. We talk about all these things. And so in the world right now, where we look is where we go is really important. And when we talk about it through the lens of leadership and think about the type of leader we need to be in this world, that maybe the skills that we need now are different than they've ever been. And maybe we need to think about the kind of leader we need to be, but also the kind of leaders we need to be developing within our teams and organizations. And so I talk about this idea of 21st century leadership. And we're going to spend more time today, obviously, diving deeper within these concepts with everybody that's here, of diving into each one of these 7 attributes of 21st century leadership. But are you a 21st century leader who is a servant leader, who changes the way you even think about leadership? Are you a storyteller? Are you a collaborator? Are you an innovator? Are you what I call a daredevil? Are you an adapter? And lastly, are you a global citizen? Because the people, the best leaders, teams, and organizations in the world right now, in this fast-changing world, where they look is where they go, that they're looking at these kinds of attributes for themselves, but then also how are they developing these within their people, within their teams, within their culture, these 7 key attributes of 21st century leadership. And so our success in this very fast-changing world is not going to be defined only by what you do, but it's going to be defined by how you do it. How you and your people show up every single day and respond to the things that don't go your way, and what kind of leadership actions then do you put into motion? Because where you look is where you go.